right. We should be live any minute now.
I see us.
Oh, there's YouTube. Yep. There we go. All right, Wolf, whenever you're ready.
All right. Thinking inside the box. Today on
This is me in a nutshell. This is me in a nutshell. This is me.
Don't reference
nutshell
over the intro.
It's thinking, or maybe not. Howdy, folks. How you doing tonight?
Good.
Welcome to another episode of Press B to Cancel. Tonight, I am joined by these two wonderful guys, Sick Jake and Sinistar. How you guys doing?
I am doing well. Things are on a positive note at the moment in my life.
I'm doing great. Always happy to be here with you guys on a Friday. So looking forward to some of the games we're talking about today.
I almost got whiplash
Alrighty.
there, by the way.
Sorry, the names are wrong. I had to switch them back. Otherwise, I'd be called Sinister all night, and we can't have that.
So tonight, we are talking about single-screen games. And, we've got the stuff we tend to think of, the stuff we've forgotten, and the stuff that kind of surprised us when it occurred to us. So which one of you guys would like to start?
I will go first. I wanted to call out that it's important to note that it's single screen per stage
Level.
Right.
Yeah. So basically no scrolling. Like think the original Mario Brothers, not Super Mario Brothers. Think the original Mario Brothers. But we've each picked a handful of games. We're going to see if we can get through a handful. My first one to reference as a memory for me, a huge memory for me, I think a lot of people are going to know this one, is Lode Runner. Not LOAD if you're young, LODE, which I don't even know if it's a word, but it exists for this game. So this is I played it on the Apple II. So this is even pre-MS DOS for me. One thing I want to talk about in these games is single screen games are like the epitome of old school hard, because you have the claustrophobia, you have like limited pathing, you have enemies that chase you rapidly. And yeah, so Lode Runner is an epic game that we looked it up. Both Jake and I thought it had 100 levels. It looks like it actually had 150 levels.
Wow.
I swore
the value.
I swore I beat this game thinking I had 100 levels, but my memory is 100 levels, which now I'm like, did I beat this game? I don't know.
Maybe
Anyway,
explain it for people who haven't played this one.
Yeah,
I don't know how many people have played Lode Runner.
Yeah, I was going to say the premise is it's essentially I guess you would call it a 2D puzzler, where you are an individual. On the cover, you have like this digging gun, like your only method to actually defeat enemies is to dig holes, and so the enemies come at you. And you have to collect pellets. I don't know if they're called pellets. I never had the manual as a kid. You have to collect all the pellets. When you collect all of the pellets, a ladder appears that lets you exit to the next level. You're being chased. The antagonists can pick up pellets, which makes it even more aggravating, because they will run across a pellet and they will pick it up. And the only way to get the pellet is to dig a hole so that they fall in and the pellet's released.
So I played Lode Runner on the NES. It was always on one of those 52-in-1 piracy carts. So I've played a fair amount of Lode Runner before I even knew it was spelled LODE. Because on those piracy carts, you better believe it was LOAD. They're always spelled wrong. So I played the NES version of this. I didn't realize the bad guys could pick up the in the NES version's gold bars. Actually, I didn't think they
Yeah.
could pick them up.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, definitely on the Apple II version. I'm fairly certain on the Commodore and the Atari ST and all that. They would run across a gold bar. We'll call them gold bars. They'd run across a gold bar. They'd pick it up, and now you have to essentially sink them into the dirt. Um, the problem is, another level of that kind of difficulty is they have the ability to climb out faster than the hole fills in.
Right.
You can kill them if the hole fills in while they're still in it. And so, kind of the premise that you run into is you dig 3, 4, 5 holes so that they keep hopping from hole to hole to hole until eventually, hopefully they've been destroyed. The rub there is until you figure out where they spawn on the screen, because they will respawn immediately. This isn't Pac-Man where the ghosts, give you a second or two. They spawn immediately. They might spawn right on top of you.
Yeah.
So you have all the interesting tropes. You have the platform areas where you can dig using your dig gun. There are ones that are marked as solid. You can't dig those. There are hand over hand trap. I don't know what you want to call them. Rope bridges, I guess you'd call
Yeah, like
them,
a
like
rope wire or
hanging.
trip wire or
Yeah,
something. Yeah, like you're
yeah,
right, like hand over hand, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, 150 levels. I remember 100, which means I probably didn't beat this game. But the at least the Apple II version, and I'm sure some of the other versions as well, had a map editor that you could make your own levels. And we were actually kind of laughing about this before the episode. I remember making a level to have Brother of Sin play where when you finally got all of the gold bars, the ladder appeared and there was no way to get to the ladder. So there was absolutely no way that you could beat the level or you could exit the level. And it was, of course, trolling. It was brother trolling. So, but I love this game. And I know that there's been modern takes on it. I actually didn't chase any of that in the research, but I definitely remember that there have been some either modernizations of the same thing, or there have been some modern versions that have adjusted.
I want to say there
It
was an N64 version of Lode Runner, I think. If I'm not wrong, I don't remember it being especially good. I
does.
like the classic though. And I will say, because I played the Apple II version a little bit today, probably one of the smoothest running Apple II games I've ever played.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
Like it looks
yeah,
crisp. Like it looks really good. The sprites are really good. The colors fit for what they're doing. Tons of levels. I like how when you finish a stage, it does a spotlight zoom in transition. And like compared to
uh-huh,
some of the other games we might talk about today, this is one of the smoothest Apple II games for sure.
absolutely. Now you say nice colors. I played this on my monochrome green monitor
The
that
green screen, yeah, the
that
green, yeah.
that everybody had. That everybody had.
Okay. Yeah.
So I actually didn't realize the Apple had color until later when we purchased. It's essentially the same thing that they had on the Atari that was included. It's a radio frequency modulator, and we
Right.
had to buy that, and then we plugged it into our TV. So yeah, but yeah, Lode Runner.
1995, Lode Runner got a sequel called Lode Runner Online: Mad Monk's Revenge. It is still a single screen game.
That's
Online
fantastic.
though.
It
Okay.
just I guess it's multiplayer and you can play online.
Mm,
I don't know. I didn't do a ton of research on this. I just learned it. But
nice.
watching a video of it, it looks like the old game, just pretty. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
The sprites are pretty well detailed and high
Nice.
definition for the time. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It
I
it definitely looks like a 90s PC game.
All right. All right. Well, I do want to mention one of my favorite things was, there would be areas where one of the gold bars would be like in solid wall area, right? And when you first start playing it, you're like, how do I get to that? And then you end up realizing you have to dig the holes. But of course, the problem is if you have like 2 or 3 levels to go down, you have to be able to dig the hole and still move. And so you end
Yeah.
up like having to kind of build a reverse pyramid, right?
Hmm.
Or I guess not build, destroy a reverse
Yeah.
pyramid.
Dig out a pyramid.
Yeah. Now, once you figure that out, those were great areas to like have a breather as well, because the enemies couldn't get to you. So you could get in there, you could just, okay, I'm gonna sit here for a minute.
Yeah, because there's no
Yeah.
timer in these stages in these games, which is a
Yeah.
nice break because a lot of games from that era had timers to make things a little bit more stressful. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. I think
Yeah.
I'll always remember this one. We did an episode forever ago. I don't even remember if it's on YouTube or if it's an audio only, where we talked about Eric and the Floaters as the original Bomberman game, and how
Mhm.
Bomberman is basically the prequel to Lode Runner. Lode Runner is the unofficial sequel to Bomberman. Like that's why the enemies look so familiar.
Okay. Okay.
It's pretty interesting because if
So
you beat
instead
the
of
original Bomberman, the ending
yeah.
has a hint toward Lode Runner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I came into Bomberman much later. I didn't get into Bomberman until probably my MS-DOS days.
I mean,
But
between the two, Lode Runner, as compared to the original Bomberman, Lode Runner, infinitely better game, by far.
all right, all right. I mean, you basically go from top down to like side, not scrolling. We can't say side scrolling, but
Yeah.
2D side running. I don't know what you would call
Yeah,
that aspect. Yeah.
it's a good pick. It looks fun.
Yeah.
I've never actually played one of those. I need to play Lode Runner.
Really?
Yeah.
It looks fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
It's old school hard. It's,
Yes.
it's like,
I believe
it's
it.
like,
It looked
it's like-
old school
yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Even with the like you're falling from above and then all of a sudden
Uh-huh.
you think you're gonna hit the ground. You just keep going because that it's like
right.
pretend bricks that you're just
Yep.
falling through.
Oh yes, yes, yes. You have hidden bricks. That's right. I forgot. Or hidden empty bricks.
It's also
I'd
be one of the
forgotten
most
that.
gruesome ways to die in a video game. If you fall into the hole and it slowly fills up and covers you, it's pretty gruesome for that era.
Uh-huh. Yep. So yeah, so that was my pick. I love that game. I don't know how many hours I played because of course back in the day we didn't have, Steam timing our hours, but that was definitely I think one of the discs that lived in our disk drive for a long time. So,
All right, that's a good pick.
thank you.
Jake, you want to share yours?
Yeah, so mine, I almost didn't pick it because I wasn't sure if it counted, right? So we're talking single screen games where the gameplay is mostly the same on the single screen. So my pick is Donkey Kong. And the reason I was hesitant to pick it is because there's actually, in the arcade version, there's 4 different screens. The gameplay is basically the same, right? Everybody, I'm pretty sure if you're watching this or listening to this podcast, you know what Donkey Kong is, but you're essentially Mario, or used to be called Jumpman, actually. And you're basically running and jumping to get to the end of the stage, usually to the top of the stage, to chase Donkey Kong to go get Pauline. And there's 4 different stages. The first one, I think everybody recognizes in video games. It's the girders and you're jumping over barrels. But then the second stage is got these jumping hourglasses you have to dodge.
Mhm.
And then there's a third stage with rivets where you have to like jump over these rivets on these girders and eventually get all the rivets that collapse down and take down Donkey Kong. And then also the arcade has a 4th level. I call it Pie Factory, but I think it's Cement Factory, where it's a series of conveyor belts and trays going back and forth you have to jump over, and fireballs coming out of a drum in the middle of the stage. There's 4 different stages, and they are drastically different looking in terms of color and elements and all that, but the gameplay is the same. Does this count as a single screen game?
I
Yeah.
absolutely think it does because to me the requirement is that a level is a single screen.
The
So
levels are
so
single screen.
basically,
Okay.
yeah, so basically every motion that you do to complete a level and is on the same screen. There's no scrolling, there's no, transition in that level, right, to something
Right.
else. So yeah.
Okay, so if it counts, I mean, I love Donkey Kong. I mean, this came out in 1981. It's a classic. My dream is if I ever get a second arcade cabinet, I would love for it to be a Donkey Kong. Just something about Nintendo having arcade machines back in the day is something I would love to have, but they're hard to get, especially ones in good condition. But I love this as an arcade game. Vertical screen, it's fantastic, runs great, plays great even today. There's a few different oddities with it though. The Japanese version of Donkey Kong, of those 4 stages I mentioned, in the Japanese version, you do them in order. So you do barrel girders, and then you do hourglass dodging, and then you have Pie Factory, and then you have rivets. But in the American version, it's all over the place. There's different stages, sets of levels. The first one you don't even see to the stages; you just do barrels and then rivets. And then the second set of stages, it's barrels, and then I want to say it's hourglasses, then rivets, and then eventually you get Pie Factory. And it kind of goes through a different series of these stages. By the end of the loop, you end up doing barrels like 3 times in a set. So you definitely see that stage a lot more than normal. But it's weird how the order is different compared to the Japanese version. When folks talk about competing, right, or speed running, this is probably one of the more notorious speed running games, Donkey Kong. Most people talk about the American version. And one of the reasons I want to bring it up today is not only is it a single screen game, like we talked about, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. It was well known to have, after I think it's 22 level 22 in terms of like sets of stages. Level 22, if you get that far into the game, it's a kill screen. You basically can't proceed. Like you start the level and you have a few seconds and then Mario dies. And it's basically been the effective end of the game for years. Just last month, I guess the community of speedrunners, a guy by the name of Andrew G had mentioned, how, people who speedrun Donkey Kong, there's a ladder glitch where you can kind of climb the ladder with Mario, and if you wiggle the joystick a certain number of frames at just the right timing, you can continue to climb the ladder invisibly up to the top of the stage. And really, to beat a Donkey Kong stage, all you need to do is get to the top of the level. It doesn't matter how you do it.
Right.
So the speedrun trick was to use this invisible ladder glitch. And Andrew G in Discord said, "What can you use this ladder glitch on level 22 to kind of speed run the level before you die on the kill screen,
before the kill screen hits,
before the kill screen takes effect?" So there's another speedrunner by the name of Cosmic. He's fairly well known speedrunner, mostly Mario Brothers, and he said no. But he eventually said, let's try it. And he's got a fantastic YouTube video where he talked about how using that glitch, that ladder glitch, while it's probably not humanly possible, if you do a task run, which is tool-assisted speed run, which means using an emulator and programming it, he set it up frame by frame to do the ladder glitch 12 times perfectly in a row on that stage 22, and it worked. He was able to do the ladder glitch, get to the top, and beat the stage before the kill screen took effect. So in effect, a game that has been decades beaten has another round of stages in it. He was able to go, I think, up to, I want to say 26. I could be wrong, but it was at least 4 or 5 more rounds before the new kill screen. The timer was so fast you couldn't get anywhere in that stage. But it's a game that's been thought to be beaten for so long, and there's still a way to keep going. Again, not by human hands right now, although I'm sure somebody crazy enough will do it. But it's interesting that that's a game that's kind of been busted open again.
Well, one of the things that's interesting there. So most of the time, if now I'm gonna hopefully speak with a little authority, but maybe I'm wrong. But one of the reasons that kill screens happen are because some counter essentially hits whatever limit there is, whether it's an 8-bit limit or a 16-bit limit or a 32-bit or whatever, right? And a lot of those early games had 8-bit counters, right? So 32,000 points, right? Or 50, anyway, I can't remember my numbers. It's fine. It's Friday. I'm tired. But basically, so like my thought when you were describing this is, I've watched King of Kong and all of those, unfortunate stories. I'm going to call them unfortunate stories.
The hot sauce mogul, Billy Mitchell himself.
Yeah,
yep.
Billy Mitchell. Let's go, Billy Mitchell. Don't sue us, please. But like my thought there is, what if the counter was based on the score? What if you actually tried to keep your score as low as possible, right? Maybe the kill and so like That was a thought, but it's probably actually based on some other counter that's hitting
from what I
that thing.
recall, it was it's an 8-bit register, so I think that means 256 if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And it was a combination of the stage counter, the counter of the stage that you're on, the level that you're on, combined with the timer. So the higher the stage, the less the timer hits a point, and that's when it breaks at level 22.
I gotcha.
It's it's one of those things where it's like, I think when they designed these games, they never expected folks to play that far into the game. Like Pac-Man has one as well, right? 256, I think it was in Pac-Man, and it's just they don't expect people to be that hardcore to go that long.
Yeah, the developers that made this game never made it to that level ever, right?
No.
Like,
I'm lucky if I make it to stage 5. Like,
right.
I love this game. I'm
Right.
terrible at it.
Right. So yeah, I guarantee there was no QA individual that was making it to the kill screen. So
yeah,
Anyway, no, one thing I wanted to call out is I absolutely love Donkey Kong. One of the things I love is like, I don't know, I call it the story where like it starts and all of the girders are like level and Donkey Kong climbs up and then he sits there and he jumps, right?
yeah.
And the girders like offset to each other. And I just kind of love that. And then the other thing that's really interesting is, as a kid, dumping quarters into this, because I played this in the arcade, dumping quarters into it, I would always pick up the hammer. And the hammer is such a double-edged, like it's a double-edged sword, right? I know it's a hammer, but hear me out.
Double-ended hammer.
Yeah. But the problem is you pick up the hammer and now you lose the ability to climb anymore until the hammer's gone. And so all you're doing is delaying,
Right.
right? And in a game of quarter dumping, all you're doing is making your life worse. But of course, you feel all powerful with that hammer because it's like, I'm taking out barrels, right? And so, yeah, like I learned much later, no, fuck the hammer. Move
So,
on.
it's funny you say that because one of my favorite Game Boy games of all time, I've said it many times before, is Donkey Kong on the Game Boy, which starts with the original 4 Donkey Kong stages, and then it goes into a full-blown 100-level epic puzzle game. Everything is still single screen, mind you. But the hammer in that game, you can actually hit the B button to throw it in the air so you don't have to carry it with you and wait, which I thought was like the biggest quality of life improvement for Donkey Kong ever. Not having to sit there and wait 10 seconds for the hammer to disappear. Because you're right. It's like a necessary thing. You want to use it, especially like the rivet stage where those the fire ghosts are going back and forth.
Yep.
And if they go in the wrong way and they bundle up, you're screwing yourself unless you use the hammer to take them out. But you're right.
Yeah.
Sitting there for 5 seconds for it to disappear is very annoying.
Well, and I argue that they gave you the ability to throw the hammer away because it didn't require quarters for that game.
Probably. I mean, that's how they get you.
Yeah.
That's
the arcade was never going to give you the option to ditch that hammer. That hammer is a fucking MacGuffin to pull you.
It's the hammer is a plot point. You know what's funny too is the Pie Factory stage. I didn't even know that existed until only a few years ago because I also played in the arcades. Mostly, actually not arcades, Chuck E. Cheese. Back in the day, used to have arcade games, and I remember playing this at Chuck E. Cheese. Again, never good at it. So I never got that far to see the Pie Factory level. And the home port on the NES and the port I had on my Atari 2600, which is a whole terrible looking port, but neither of those had that stage. They cut it because of size limitations. So I didn't even know that was a stage. One, because they didn't have it in the home port. And two, because I was never great enough in the arcade game, or even when I'm playing on MAME at the time, to get that far. So only recently I found that stage even exists, and I thought it's wild to see a new stage for me.
Right.
So it's a really interesting level. There is a ROM hack for the NES version of Donkey Kong now that sneaks in that stage. It fits it in there now because obviously ROMs can be bigger than cart sizes.
Right.
So it's really interesting stuff.
Well, yeah. So I love Donkey Kong, and what's funny is most of my experience with Donkey Kong honestly was dumping quarters into the machine.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know that the Pie Factory stage existed until now.
Right?
I've played this game. I've played the actual arcade machine, but I've never been good enough at the game to get that far.
the social media today meme, by the way, is I was today years old.
Yeah, I don't say that.
Yeet.
I was 42, damn it. Knocked something over.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Brother Sin says, I didn't like it when I ran out of quarters, though. That was always the struggle in arcades. Always. You felt powerful walking in with your tenor and walking out 27 minutes later after your tenor's gone.
Yeah, but some of those games you could spend quite a while on one quarter, right? It wasn't the early 80s games I find weren't as bad of a ripoff as some of the later 80s ones, right? Like trying to play honestly, half of the Neo Geo arcade games in the 90s, those I always felt would be a huge ripoff in quarters, right? Because you died so easily. But like a round of Donkey Kong was okay. The original Mario Brothers wasn't so bad. There's some time there that I could spend.
Once you spend like your first handful of quarters when you're learning how the game works, go very quickly, right? But yeah, you're right. You could get at least a couple, 2, 3, 4 stages out of a quarter once you had, gotten to that level. So yeah. No, good pick. Good pick.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. For mine, Jake, which one do you have queued up? R or B?
You had 2 R picks. The older one.
Yeah. Okay. I figured we were going with the older ones first, so I was
Okay. Yeah.
All right. All right. So my first pick is it's one that maybe some of you haven't ever heard of, really. It's not the most prominent game. Robotron 2084.
I know I've heard of the game, but I can't picture the screen.
You're literally a little dude about Lode Runner sized with a bunch of dudes just spawning around you, creeping up on you, and you just have to turn your laser shots back and forth in a 360 degree to shoot them.
Okay,
So you're moving and changing the degree of your laser.
to me, you just described Berserk.
This was a twin stick shooter, I think, wasn't it?
In the arcades, it might have been. I played it on the Lynx.
Okay. That's a
So
port.
literally, it was like the gun was constantly firing, and B and A changed it turned it back and forth. So D-pad moved you, A would turn your laser beam clockwise, B would turn it counterclockwise.
Yeah, it's Berserk without the walls.
A much faster pace, though. Like this was an arcade game, right?
No,
For sure.
the movement
this
is
was like
substantially fast.
Fast-paced diarrhea, Christmas lights, bullet hell. Like,
and and it looks like you have to rescue people. Oh, this is both glorious and horrible.
Oh,
hard.
It's super stressful.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't think I would be any good at this anymore. I was okay at it back when I played it on Lynx as a kid. I don't think I can do this anymore. There's so much happening.
Oh, there's snakes. There's fucking snakes coming at you.
Yeah, you get new things happening to you every few levels, and it's just wild what's going on. And as soon as you kill the last thing, there's like no fanfare whatsoever. Literally, the stage erases on you and a new one appears. So if you didn't collect any of your goodies or power-ups or people before the end of the stage, too bad. You're gone.
Welcome to more pain, my friend.
Sisters in chat is saying Vampire Survivor Progenitor. And like, yes, 100%. Yeah, just a mob of enemies all over the place, pure chaos, and you're just shooting like mad. Except at least in this, you can control where you move, where you're shooting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The colors, like it. This is fantastic, Wolf. This is an amazing pick. Like I am looking at the colors going, this is like the perfect like nostalgia hit for me. Like, slap my arm like oh, the nostalgia's real. This is awesome.
And the different shaped bullets flying around, and
Yeah.
it's
This is
just
insane.
it's mayhem.
Yeah. This is insane.
I
And
think
I
you could
love
shoot the
every
people
bit
you're
of it.
supposed to save by accident. I think was that a thing in this one? I just remember this
It
being
doesn't
brutally
look like it's
difficult.
happening in this.
I
Okay.
But
saw
it might
them.
have
Go
it
ahead.
might have been in other releases that came after this one, like ports and stuff, that the gameplay had to be slowed down a bit.
Right.
I saw.
Look at all
I
those
saw.
2084s.
Yeah. I saw the people you're supposed to get or you're supposed to rescue get run over by the enemies, and they become
Right.
skull
Yeah.
and crossbones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. The snakes are tweaking me out. This is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, this is a game in the arcades. Like it would immediately grab your attention with just the constant strobing of rainbow colors.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
peak. It reminds me of the Atari in a lot of the ways. The Atari logo constantly changing colors.
Like
But
Yeah.
this was a
even your
Williams game, I
life
think.
counter at the top is
Yeah.
just
Oh, it's hitting on every single nostalgia like buzz point ever.
And I love this
This
because
is-
you're
This-
literally in a box, right? Like you're literally in
Yeah.
a square. You can't go out of it. You're constantly trying to avoid the mob of enemies swarming around you. Like when we say that the title of this episode is Boxed In, this is this is literally you're boxed in. I never got far in this. I don't think I ever made it past stage 3 in the original. I can't imagine playing this in the links where the resolution's so much lower. Like, was there
Oh,
3
man.
enemies on the screen in that version, or was it like?
No,
it can't have
it-
been like
it-
this.
it kind of was like this.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think the gameplay space was a little smaller, and so there was obviously less room for the enemies. But I mean, looking at the resolution that you're seeing on this screen, it's
Yeah.
not super high. So they just
Yeah.
kind of made the characters a little lower res as it was, and
Huh.
they could kind of fit everything still in that space.
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah. Like I don't even know
I
how many
hope-
stages there are in this. Like there's
I hope
definitely a
that
bunch.
I hope that there's a Mr. Arcade port on this. Like I'm gonna have to check this out.
Williams, there might be.
Yeah.
There is a can I show the port of this? That the port I'm most familiar with is the N64 version, which I think Wolf, you said you never heard of.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
didn't know
sure,
that was a
please,
thing.
sure.
I'm interested.
And it still fits because
game-
you're still in a box.
Oh, wow.
The game does not have a specific number of levels or waves,
It's
Oh,
all
okay.
random, probably, or
but
something.
players
Okay.
aim to reach wave 200 as an
Okay.
achievement.
200.
All right. This N64 version is fantastic as well. It
Yeah,
even has the strobing rainbow colors. It's
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like anything you'd want in the original is pretty much represented here. It's just not as busy, and I found it
Yeah.
easier. What I love about this one though is it had different control schemes. You could, if you wanted to, use 2 N64 joysticks, one in each hand, controllers, to do the dual stick thing, which I think is kind
Wait.
of funny.
Neat.
Wait,
Yeah,
That's
I
but-
pretty
already need
cool.
I already need 3 hands for a Nintendo 64 controller. You're telling me I need 6 now?
Just this is wild. It's neat. I
That's
got
pretty
decently
cool,
far
I
into
gotta
this
say.
version. Yeah, I think I got decently far, but I like how it's still the square arena. They just randomly slide it around.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting.
The angle is
Yeah.
adjusted based on where you are in the arena.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah.
you're like a gray too. you've
Yeah, with the
you've
big
got
head,
the big
yeah,
bulbous
like
head.
Megamind.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's neat.
Oh,
This is
good.
a great pick.
Yeah, this is a fantastic pick.
Yeah.
So you played this in the arcade, Wolf.
I have played it at the arcade. I
Okay.
mostly played it on my links, but I've
Okay.
gone up to the machine a few times at the arcade after I played it on the links. Like, hey, let me check this out, and I did
All right.
not last long.
No, I love this. I hope that there's a
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost Sinistar. We'll give him a minute. There he is. It wasn't me this time.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
It was just you.
You hope that there's a
I hope that there's a Mr. version. I hope that there's a port on the Mr. So
Yeah, I
take a
can't
look.
imagine there wouldn't be, honestly. But
or not really a
This
port.
is-
I hope there's a ROM on the Mr. Anyway.
So this is one of those games that I never knew existed when I got it. It was a gift it was one of my Christmas gifts one year. At my uncle's recommendation to my dad. He was like, "Oh, you should get Jimmy this." And I got it. I was like, "Holy crap, this is just insanity."
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's turmoil at my eyeballs.
Yeah, yeah, that is fantastic. I love everything about that game.
Yeah.
And it like honestly, I wonder if Berserk or that came first, because it looks like essentially like a fast-paced Berserk without the walls, right? Um and by the way, I know we're probably not going to talk about Berserk today. I'm just going to call that out as an early honorable mention, because
Yeah.
there's nothing like just repeatedly shooting the wall in Berserk and hearing that noise as you get closer. Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Anyway.
digital speech and just the monsters and just is it the smiley face that comes after you, I think, in certain stages,
Oh
certain
yes.
screens?
Oh yes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Terrifying. It's the
It
buzzard.
looks like
Joust.
Berserk beat it by 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody
like that.
basically looked at Berserk and was like, we can make this hyperactive and ridiculous. That's great. Good pick. Oh, we're looking something up here. Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they were the same developer at all. They were not. Anyway, thank you. All right, Sinistar, let's hear your second pick.
Okay. So another Apple II era for me. And I don't know, I didn't look this up enough to determine if there was multiple releases or if this was an Apple II only. But Brother of Sin will probably remember this game. Dino Eggs. And I want to share Dino Eggs. So Dino Eggs, honestly, it's a very cool concept for a game. The whole premise is, well, it tells you in scrolling text at the beginning, and I wrote this down so that I could read it because it's great. This is at the same level as Bowser turning all of the people from the Mushroom Kingdom into the bricks.
Into bricks. Okay.
Yeah. So, exploring the past via time warp, you infect dinosaurs with common measles, accidentally condemning them to extinction. Overcome with remorse, you devote yourself to rescuing the entire dinosaur population. You can do it, for you are Time Master Tim.
Time Master Tim.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a title.
Using your time warp, you can find and carry dino eggs and dino babies safely into the 21st century.
Okay.
The dinosaurs live again in our future. Thank you, Time Master Tim.
I've never heard of this game ever.
Yeah. They're thanking Time Master Tim for giving all of the dinosaurs measles.
Wow.
Have we not learned anything from every Time movie ever? That you will do something wrong. The fucking like butterfly effect over time, right? Anyway, no. So no, this game, it's like all of these, like most of these games, it's jumping from platform to platform. But the very cool premise is that basically you have to collect these eggs, you have to get back to your warp, you have to bring them back. By default, you can only carry 3 eggs at a time. And so you're constantly running back and forth with your time warp. Now I want to call something out that I noticed as I was replaying this and retrying this out. I think this was the precursor to what's the game, the modern game where you cry tears and shoot, like your mom makes you cry. And
Binding of Isaac?
Binding of Isaac. Because
This
there
one?
is
Yeah.
literally there is literally a part where it says the mother dinosaur is coming, and a giant goddamn foot goes "Gah!" onto the screen in one area. Which,
Okay.
if you've played Binding of Isaac, there's a level where mom tries to stomp you, right? So, anyway, no, this game, I remember this game like you have it's so many multiple different things that you have to deal with. There are boulders covering up the dinosaur eggs. So you have to first go and remove a boulder. There are snakes, and the manual talks about how you're susceptible to their diseases as well. So if you get touched by a snake or something, you get a countdown that's basically like, oh, you're screwed and you're going to turn into a proto spider. So
That's
yeah,
worse
no,
than the measles.
you
I gotta say,
yeah,
the
so,
spider measles. Yeah,
sorry, sir, the common measles.
right. The common measles. Okay, not this crazy
Anyway,
spider plague.
yeah, no, I love this game. I remember playing hours and hours of this game. And it's just a very cool concept. Like I said, you've got multiple enemies. You've got spiders that generate and come drop down on where you are. You've got snakes that, move across a different direction. You've got the mother dinosaur. You can mitigate these by creating fires, so the spider or whatever, or the snake, or even mom
And-
won't like stomp on a fire. Anyway, what were you
And
going
the
to say?
eggs can hatch?
Oh, yes. So the eggs hatch, and then once the eggs hatch, so if you go to your teleporter while you're not carrying any eggs, you basically have a yes no dialogue, or basically kind of a second I have to try to transport again, that says abandon the cliff. And so if you think you've earned enough points to move on, you can essentially abandon the cliff and move to the next level, or the game will say you didn't and game over on you. Um, but you can, along with carrying the eggs, you can cage the dinosaurs that hatch. Once they're caged, they will transport to the future as well. So, and by the way, the future is the 21st century, folks.
I feel like this is the plot that Jurassic Park should have ended up at. I know there's a new one coming out, but if it doesn't include time travel, I don't know what they're
Right.
even doing now.
And the common measles.
And the common measles, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Gosh,
So-
I when you
ridiculous.
said dino eggs, I thought it was like a Pac-Man clone or something with the maze where you're collecting eggs. I had no idea this is what it is. This is like a platformer. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on that screen, from boulders and webs and spiders. I just got, for people watching the video a few minutes ago, the mama's foot coming down. I didn't expect it to be a gigantic freaking rectangle, green, just flying down and stomping you. And then it smashes you. Then it says Tim's first life. There's a
Yeah.
lot of charm in this game. A lot of charm. I have to check this one out.
Yeah. Now I don't know if there was more than the Apple II version. Sorry, I'm going to my mind palace. Right
There is. I
now.
looked it up. There's a
Yeah,
C64 port, and then there's also Windows. There's an IBM PC port, or DOS port, I guess it would have been.
Okay.
So there's
Okay.
two ports,
Okay,
but I've not
hold
seen
on.
a sequel or anything else.
There is a sequel.
Is there?
In 2016, he revived it. It's called Dino Eggs Rebirth. It's
In the
on
20
Steam for $10.
In the 21st century, he revived it.
He's got a daughter now, apparently.
Uh-huh.
So it's Tim and Tam is what it looks like.
Tim and Tam. Oh, hold on. I'll show it. I'll show it for the people watching the YouTube. I'll show a clip of it. Hold on.
You found a clip.
Oh, wait, that's not it. Here it is. Actually, it looks not bad. This is a trailer. There's a trailer. And he even has
This
Mama's
is-
foot.
Yeah.
This is beta footage. This isn't even like what the game looks like now, I don't think. Or are you doing it through Steam?
Yeah.
This is
No,
from
this
YouTube,
is-
but yeah, it's definitely
Oh,
dino
okay.
eggs.
Oh,
This
You
might
actually-
actually be the footage.
you can climb mom's foot in the new one.
I saw that.
Oh, okay. I love
This
the
looks
dino
rad.
mom coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I love the stacks. The stacks.
Whoa.
Of the eggs. All
Okay,
right.
this
What
looks
is he? Is that
wild.
eggs?
They're eggs. They're
Yeah.
dino eggs. Yeah.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is
That foot's
cool.
hilarious. Just
I'm
a
gonna wish-
giant rectangle coming down.
I'm gonna wish list this game. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so pleased that there was a follow-up to this. So, no, I love this game. Like I said, I played it on the Apple II. Um, it's memorable for me for sure. So,
Yeah,
but
this
That's a
is
fun
one
one.
I've never heard of until you mentioned it in Marco Polo recently,
yeah.
and this actually looks kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie, it looks a little bit like somewhere between Flicky and Mappy
Mm,
Land,
mm,
but like on one single screen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going on. So I remember just one of those things like at the top, the spiders hatch, right? At the very top. And I know that and the thing that always tweaked me out was like one spider leg would come out and it would be like, like twitching. And you're like, huh, ugh. So yeah, I don't like spiders, guys.
It's an interesting pick. I'm gonna have to check that one out too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
looks awesome.
nice.
All right, Jake, you want to give us your second pick?
Yeah. What do we go with? You know what? Okay, I'm gonna go with one that's actually a little bit newer. Well, I say newer, but it came out in 2013, and it's Towerfall. I think we've all played Towerfall. We had to
Yeah,
have, right?
yeah.
Right? You haven't played Towerfall? Okay, so Towerfall.
No, I think I have it.
that's the Steam thing, right? It's probably in a Steam library somewhere. Never tried it. This is
Yeah,
one
I
I
have
played with my
Towerfall
kids.
Ascension.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. It's like it reminds me of Smash Brothers, but definitely like an
Hmm.
8-bit,
Hmm.
16-bit charm of pixel artwork. That's pretty interesting. But it's a up to 4-player game. Well, originally 4-player game, and you're all archers. You all got bow, and you have a limited number of arrows. I want to say it's like 4
Yep.
or 5 arrows, and it's basically deathmatch style. It's 2D. You're
Hmm.
jumping around this small enclosed one screen, trying to snipe the other players. And when you run out of arrows, you have to haphazardly run to the ones on the ground, pick them up, and you keep shooting them. And there's power ups and all that kind of cool stuff. Um, this came out in 2013. It was originally an exclusive to the Ouya, which was that kind of I don't know. Was it a Kickstarter campaign for the Ouya? It was like a
It
small home
was
console.
I backed this and I have an Ouya.
Do you
it
really?
was
Okay.
what,
do.
an Android-based home console?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an Android. I think it had an NVIDIA Tegra chip in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
it's like
I'm not gonna lie. When they announced it, it sounded pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah.
every bit of hype around it was awesome. And then it came out.
Well, but you know what? Like there was games on the Ouya that I always wanted to play, and this is one of the ones I wanted to really play. And eventually, it came out on Windows a year later, and eventually got a release on the Switch with new content and all that kind of stuff. The current version you can get now, Towerfall Ascension, on Steam and on Switch, I believe, and I think it's even on PS4. I want to say is up to 8 players. But this game is
Oh,
wild. It was made
wow.
by Maddie Makes Games, Mandy Thorson, who people might know. She's the one who made Celeste, which is another kind of
Yeah.
single screen game, kind of. And her company or her studio, it's a small indie studio, made this game originally. It's her first commercial game. This came out in 2013, which is around the time when Steam was kind of taking off and trying to bring about the idea of Steam machines, the idea of you can play games on your PC on a TV. You can play games on Steam with a controller, just like you could a console, right? This is the cusp of when we moved from the era of, hey, you want to play games on your TV, you need a console, to hey, no, you can just hook up a TV to your computer to your TV. And I remember this is one of the first games I did that with. I saw the idea of Steam machines. I didn't want to buy one, but I already had a small computer, a media-centric PC, and I had Steam on it, so why not? And they brought out Steam Big Picture Mode, which we take for granted, Big Picture Mode these days, which is that they call it a 10-foot interface, where it's Steam, but it fills a TV, a full-size TV.
Yeah.
But it's the same interface we have today on Steam Decks, right? It's the basis
Yep.
of Steam OS, which is huge right now. Like Steam OS is an awesome interface for playing Steam games, but it goes back to 2012 when they first brought that out. But people don't remember, I think, as well, how in 2011, 2010, to use a controller on a PC was kind of a pain in the butt. It's not like it is today. Nowadays, you can connect any Bluetooth controller to your PC and it works like that, right? DirectX input, no problem. Like we get almost spoiled with how easy it is to use controllers on PC games. It wasn't always this easy. But I remember I wanted, the idea of a Steam machine at home. So I took a Media Center PC, slapped a picture mode on it. I had it boot into Steam. I was that hardcore with this. And I remember having 4 Xbox 360 controllers, wireless with wireless dongles. I think you could use 2 dongles.
Yeah.
And having friends over to play this game. This is the era of couch co-op when it was really taking off, I think. It really started with, for me, it started with Towerfall. So Sinister, you played this, I guess, on the Ouya?
Yes.
Or did you play it elsewhere?
No,
Okay.
I played this on the PC. I actually played this as part of my cousins and brother Sin and I occasionally do what we call these nostalgia nights.
Yeah.
Where we pick a game that's like an old game and we play it. But then generally we kind of are like, all right, that's old school hard. Let's go play something else for a little while. And so yeah, we played Towerfall Ascension, and it's epically fun. Especially, like you turn into the ghost when you get shot, and then there's the way to come back, and it's just it's stupid big fun. We did this and Gang Beasts and a bunch of other
Yes.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think on the screen right now I have the single player mode, which they added later on in Ascension. But the original 4-player battle, and now with 8-player battle, it's just a hectic mess of people shooting arrows back and forth. It's
Oh yeah.
chaotic fun. Anybody can play this game. Like I was playing with this with my kids years ago, and it's just easy to pick up and play. And just something about you have like 4 arrows, and you can snipe and time it, or you can just let them all go at once and then frantically try to get to the other side of the screen and pick up arrows, or you can dodge an enemy's arrow and pick it up and shoot it right back at them. Like it's a frantic fun game. I love it. There's nothing quite like it for me that's like this. All right, there's definitely other couch co-op games, but it's either this or Smash is the 2 games I always wanted to play with friends on and couch co-op. So I really love Towerfall.
I would throw out a third option from that list, or for that list, and that's also Duck Game.
Duck Game. I played a little bit of Duck Game. Duck Game is also a really fun party game too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Yep.
But yeah,
no, this is a fantastically fun game, and I'm one of those people that spazzes and throws all 4 of my arrows out, and then I'm chasing for a little while, trying to dodge and get more arrows. Right? Yeah. I'm that person.
Yeah. Anybody who has any, like, this is the ultimate game to play with friends. I don't even know if there's online, although with Steam these days you can do the online Steam Together mode to play with friends online. But it's an awesome game. Tons of power-ups, tons of stages, variety, and it's all single screen. So when we first talked about doing a single screen game episode, I kind of wanted to pick some classic arcade games from the beginning, but I also wanted to do a couple modern games, because even though they're modern games, they still it's still a great format, right? The idea of a single screen game still makes sense for modern games, right? For this reason. So I thought it was a good pick.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good pick. It looks really fun. That's why I have it. I just never actually fired it up to play it for some reason.
I bet your kid would love this game. Like, I think he'd find it be hilarious. Like, it's a blast.
He's not a twitchy gameplay kind of kid.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But all right, that is a good pick. I'll have to actually fire that up and try the single player. I think I'd be terrible at it, but I'll have to try it. All right, so my second pick.
I just want to call. Sorry, I want to call out. I'm terrible at any single screen game anymore.
Yeah, I haven't seen most of these. I've seen tonight. I'm like, I don't think I'd be good at this now.
Right. Yeah,
except this one.
Okay.
Bubble Bobble.
Oh,
I know we've talked about it on the podcast in the past, but
you're still good at Bubble Bobble? I'm terrible at this game.
I'm still pretty good at Bubble Bobble.
Bubble Bobble has the advantage of distance. You can still play at a distance, right? Because you're shooting the bubbles out, right?
Yeah.
Where like Lode Runner, you're like, they're on my ass. Anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, this is one of those games I have never stopped loving. Sometimes you get older and you play some of these games you played as a kid and you're like, what was I thinking? Or or it's not aged well or whatever, but this is one that has aged wonderfully in my opinion.
Yep. And one of the best multiplayer experiences on the NES.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes. And the
Like,
music, like I know the
oh,
music
epic.
is a little bit much, but I don't get tired of that either.
Yeah. Well, it's epically
one track, but it's
memorable
iconic,
too.
right? Like when you think
Yeah.
Bubble Bobble, you instantly hear that sound, that music
Yep.
in your brain, like immediately. It's one of those games.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, I love
one.
this.
Yeah.
I love this game. How many levels? 99, if I remember right.
I think it was 99 and then the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one boss.
Yeah.
Let's remember.
And
There's a level
gigantic
select, I think, for some of the levels, I think, so you could skip ahead, so you didn't have to start
Yeah,
from the
you
very
can
beginning.
jump straight to level 30, I think.
That's what it was.
Is
Yeah.
where it tops off.
Yeah. Sinstress points out, aged so well they made a level like it or a game like it in UFO 50.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the
Yeah.
soccer game?
Uh-huh.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed that game, and I was pretty good at that too.
Yeah.
Like this game had an impact in a few other games too, right? Like not just UFO 50, but like the idea of where you have a screen full of enemies and you attack them with bubbles in this case to stun them, and then you go touch them and you blow and it kills them.
Mhm.
The other game that's like this is Snow Brothers. I love the hell out of Snow Brothers in the arcades, and that's the same idea, right? You throw energy at enemies, make them snowballs, and then you touch them and they go flying on the screen. It reminds me very much of Bubble Bobble.
Nice. Yeah, and if I remember right, wasn't it the same characters from Bubble Bobble that were in like Bust a Move? Like the same.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
Yeah.
So
It's the same world of characters. That and Rainbow Islands.
yeah.
Oh, Rainbow Island. That's that was a hard ass game. But that's not single screen though. That's
No,
they
that's
had
not single
scrolling to that
screen,
one.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember
There's a ton of variety in
unlocking the
Bubble
one-
Bobble, right? It's not just the same 2-3 enemies. There's quite a bit of variety. The stages are all pretty fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun Easter eggs with the shapes of the levels being fruit or other enemies, and
Right.
they got creative with some of these stages.
Yeah. Some of
yeah.
them are just like neat shape or one of the enemies in the game, and then some of them are like, all right, we designed this stage to be an actual platformer. Have fun.
Yeah.
Well, looking at the video right now, it's Space Invaders, right? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this
Yeah.
is a Taito game, right? I think. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Taito. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love how it has the Pac-Man style warps, but they're on the top and bottom of the
Yep.
screen. So if you
Yep.
fall through the bottom, you come through the top, and you have to use that quite a bit to dodge enemies and to navigate the stage. It's pretty interesting. This
Yeah.
is also ported to a bunch of things. I remember playing the NES version. I also played the Commodore version, I want to say, but this is on a lot of different systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a classic.
No, this is an epically classic game. Yeah, my neighbors had an NES. I mean, you guys know, I didn't have one growing up, but my neighbor did, and I remember we played this multiplayer for hours and hours and hours. So, yep.
Yeah, this is it's just one of the top tier single screen games in my opinion. Oh,
Yeah.
there you found the boss,
Yeah, I found the boss. Yeah,
the wizard.
Yep.
stupidly hard. And like not something you see for 99 stages. You imagine playing this for the first time. You're going through 99 stages of just puzzle bubble bobble, and then there's a boss for no damn reason.
Yeah. And all of a
mechanics
sudden
are
you have
different.
lightning bubbles. You're like, what are these?
Yeah,
Yeah,
wild.
99 stages and a boss ain't one.
You're-
There you go.
Yeah.
Freaking funny.
I love this
Yeah.
game. I love
Yeah,
this
this is
game.
an awesome game. Classic for sure.
Well,
All right.
we're at an hour-ish. Do we want to do a third, or do we
I-
want to just do a whole bunch of honorable mentions? It's up to you.
I think
Honorable
honorable
mentions?
mentions and quick
Yeah.
discussion of like, is this a single screen game? Because I've got a
Okay.
few that I'm kind of curious about.
Okay.
All right, so I was initially gonna throw my third out there, so I'm gonna just submit this to you guys as, is this a single screen game? Rock Band, Guitar Hero, that sort of thing.
I'm going to say yes, but
I
I'm
think
also kind of a little. It has scrolling.
So the way I look at it is, I think if you had said, DDR, Dance Dance Revolution, I would say, yeah, for sure, single screen game. Rock Band is just DDR, but at an angle. So
Yeah.
just the plane is at an angle, but it's still, I think, a single screen game. It's very much like puzzle games, right? Where it's a single screen game. So I think it counts.
Yeah, because Tetris and columns and things like that would fall into this.
Right.
Okay, I have a couple others that I thought about while we were doing this and just before we did it that I wanted to. Is FTL a single screen game?
No, because you got to pick pathways, right? Don't you?
It's
It's close,
that's
though.
actually
Yeah, but that's not the
it's-
gameplay.
Right.
Okay. Well,
It's level select, Jake. It's level select.
Yeah.
is it? Because you pick a ship and it's maybe a 3-screen game. Does that make sense?
I
It's
think
close.
most of the action takes place on one screen at a time. So I'm going to say we'll take it as a modern take on a single screen game. How about that?
Yeah, it was just I was thinking, I was like, oh my goodness, does that count? Because
Yeah.
when you're doing the space battles, it's all just there.
Yes.
Right.
All the information is on screen at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good to say it's a modern take on a single screen game. Yeah.
Balatro.
Totally.
Totally.
That's got to be a single
Yep.
screen game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely
Now
the most modern of single screen games.
I'm going to
Yeah.
argue that we can probably have a side episode to this of just puzzle games, right? Which I think
Yeah.
Balatro could qualify as well. So, yeah.
Which my next mention, Choo Choo Rocket, would fall under that. But every single thing in that game is just one screen.
Yeah.
Gosh, I haven't played that in
Either-
forever. God, I forgot about
I
Choo Choo
love
Rocket.
that game.
I just remember the commercial. The commercial is epic. Yeah.
Okay, my last one throws the other genres we've talked about out the window. We're going with something different. Super Off-Road.
Is that the racing game top 3/4 down view with
Yeah,
the track?
like
Super
where
Sprint?
it's sort of bird's eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it
no,
not
Super Sprint,
scroll?
Super Off-Road. It does not scroll. It
Well-
might on like NES when the game, like the screen wasn't big enough for the
Yeah.
actual course, but at the arcade, it's a single screen game. The whole track is on screen.
Then
Yeah.
I would
It
say
is like
yes.
Super Sprint. It's a single screen game. It's an awesome one for sure.
Is Super
Yeah.
Sprint the one that had like the 3 wheels on the arcade machine around the screen?
I think there's
Like,
even a 6.
The screen would be
wheel
laying
one, too.
down.
But yes.
Oh,
yeah.
that maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
But it's the same idea. Off road is better though, because super off road you have power ups between stages, right? You can pick nitro and handling and all that stuff. I played the hell out of this game in arcades and at home too. I think I played an NES version, but I love this one too. That's an awesome one.
Yeah.
So those are my submissions and ideas of things that we might not have thought of. Do you guys have any?
Yeah, I'm just gonna rattle off some
All right.
because we can't forget Burger Time. I think people would revolt if we didn't say
Oh,
Burger
yes.
Time.
Yeah.
Um,
My friend and I lost many an evening to Burger Time in high
Yep.
school.
one of the daddies, of course, is Asteroids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Although, and Pong. I mean, technically Pong, right? Sinstress brought one up when I was talking to her before the episode that I would have felt remorse if we hadn't brought it up, and that's Centipede. Space Invaders, Punch Out. We can't forget Punch Out.
So Punch Out's a great
Yeah.
one because that's like
Mhm.
that's what late 80s, and there's a lot of variety, but it's still a single screen game. It's literally a boxing ring,
Yep.
and what a classic
Yeah.
game that is. So that's an awesome one.
And I hadn't thought of that until you guys mentioned it tonight. I was like, oh, yeah, it is.
Yep. And then Dig Dug. I'm just gonna keep Dig Dug, Q*bert. You know,
I
yeah,
tried playing Q*bert earlier.
Pac-Man.
God, fuck Q*bert. Dude, the NES version, I don't know if you played the NES version recently, but as soon as you start that game up, they know the controls are gonna be weird. They know, and they let you pick what direction inputs you do for every single angle. Like you have to literally map your controls for Q*bert when you start it up.
No.
I thought that was funny on the NES. I like the arcade one because the joystick is angled the right way, But man, on a home console, Cubert is painful to play today.
Yeah.
It's great. I love the character, but fuck Cubert.
I can't tell you how many quarters I threw away
Yeah.
because I thought I was going like one direction and I jumped off the goddamn pyramid. Right?
But the best part of Cubert in the arcades, though, if you play on a machine that's still working, is when you hit the bot when your character falls, the machine knocks. There's a physical knockdown on the machine that
it has
bang
like
the wood of the arcade cabinet. I love
We got to
that.
play that at a nearby arcade for my kid. We went out, took my kid out like last year, or the year before, and it scared the crap out of him when it happened. He's playing Cubert, fell off the side, thunk, and he was like, "What?"
Like, how cool of a thing, right? Especially for back then, because it's an early arcade game. For them to think of like, how can we make this game more fun and interesting? I don't know. We'll just put a hammer in the bottom of the cabinet just that goes when you fall. It's wild.
Another couple honorable mentions. Every fucking level in Tron is a single screen game. Every single one.
True.
Even though you get to select the different ones. And then what's the stupid one that you circle around and the things are coming at you, but you're shooting like it's literally a spinner. Tempest,
Yeah. That's kind of like a Rock Band situation, right? Where it's like it's angled coming at you, but it's still, I think it's still single screen. Yeah.
Anyway, those are my honorable mentions. I'm sure come talk to us in Discord anyway.
Yeah, I don't have as many of you guys. The one I'm going to bring up, Charted mentioned this as well. Adventure of Lolo. When we're talking about puzzle games, it's funny. There's 3 of them on the NES, and it's funny because they all look very similar. In fact, I swear it's the same sprites and the same backgrounds. Although I do like the third one, although not strictly single screen, a single screen, because there is a level select, if you will, between stages as you move around. But that's a puzzle game where you slide blocks.
Lolo, but
not the first two. The first two are definitely single screen, but you're pushing blocks and you're shooting bullets at enemies, and there's different enemy types, and it's a fantastic puzzle game. But man, the second game when I spun it up, it wastes no time in throwing you into difficult puzzles. I felt like number 2 was like, oh, you beaten 1, well, here you go. It's like lost level situation, how hard it is. Adventure Lolo 3 though is a lot easier to get into. I do like that one quite a bit.
It's like Baba.
3 is the 2-player one, right?
Well, there's 2 characters. I don't know if you can play at the same time, but you can pick between Lolo or Lala.
Yeah, because I think in 1 and 2, Lolo is saving Lala, but then in 3 you can play as Lala.
Right. Yeah.
So I when you said like Lolo 2 was like the first puzzle, and then here it's full on. I thought to myself, another modern take on this is Baba Is You.
Yes. God, that game is hard.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, you feel good on the
hate that game.
You feel good on the first puzzle.
You feel like a damn genius after the first few, but then you get to like number 5 or 6 and you feel like an idiot. Like that game is brutal.
Hockey sticks.
That game swings wildly between making you feel super intelligent and like a first grader trying to do, astrophysics.
Yeah,
that's awesome. The other one I want to mention is Arkanoid. Arkanoid in arcades with the spinner. It's one of the few games with the spinner I really freaking love. Enough that I want to get a spinner for my arcade cabinet. I love Arkanoid, especially some of the later versions or modern version takes on it with the different power-ups. I love Arkanoid, where it's single screen. There's tons of levels, different variety, and it's just awesome. There was an Arkanoid clone on Windows. I can't remember. Was it something Quest? Gosh, I can't remember. I have to look it up at some point. But every stage was completely unique, from blocks that were piano notes to bubbles to all this variety. And it's Break Quest. I think it was called Break Quest, and it was from at least 15 years ago, and it was awesome. So I love Arkanoid. What was the other one I wanted to mention?
What was that one? Wizorb is also like that.
Is it? Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a little more like RPG-ish, but it's very much that same sort of thing.
Right. Oh, is Rampage single screen?
I think it has a scrolling element to it.
Does it?
Well, I think when you come into the level, it scrolls a little bit, but no, I think you're right. I think when you're actually climbing the buildings, it doesn't actually scroll.
Yeah, it's a single screen game. I played the crap. I used to go to this one camp. was mostly a trailer park, but they had a small arcade, so that's how you know it was a really great trailer park / camp.
Oh
And
yeah.
they had a Rampage machine, and I played the heck of that. You want to talk about cores wasted? You put a lot of cores into Rampage because you just use it to fill your
Oh
life
yeah.
meter back up. What a difficult game. Rampage was awesome though.
That was a
I love
game
that one.
I absolutely loved on the NES.
Yeah.
I adored it, but the controls were so bad too. Because like you'd think that you could like stop and start swinging, but no, it's still
Nope.
doing something, and you're like, come on.
Where you're
Yeah.
like on top of a building and you mean to punch down and you hit the wrong button and you jump off it instead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is one
Yeah.
I think my kid would enjoy.
Rampage is good.
Yeah.
I remember my I had the 2600, and I remember my dad brought me the Atari version of Rampage, and I remember how excited it was because I love the arcade version. Man, how disappointed was I popping that cartridge into the Atari 2600. It looks nothing like the arcade. Surprise, surprise.
Right.
It's not a bad version of Rampage.
Did your arcade machine actually just sort of bring up Robotron behind you on its own?
No, when we're talking about
No.
it, and Sinister's
Oh,
like,
okay.
is it on the Mister? I'm like, let me look, because I have a search thing on my computer, and I'm like, yeah, I pulled it up, so it's totally on the Mister. Yeah.
I thought it just cycled through it in its attract mode randomly. I was like, wow.
No,
That
no,
would
I
have
put
been
it up there.
great. That would have been great. No, my
then,
favorite with Rampage was punching down at the tanks, like punching down at the tanks. Anyway,
you eat the soldiers for life. You eat
Uh-huh.
the toilet and you spit water. Like there's a lot of charm in that game.
right.
Sinister is mentioning Jumpman, which I know we talked
Yes.
offline a bit, Sinister, about Jumpman. That's another Apple II game. You should talk about that one real quick because that one's a fun one too.
Yeah, so it's it has some very interesting elements compared to a lot of these others. Like there are a lot of different enemy types in this game. Like the very first level, there's kind of this little white, I call it a bullet, but it's just kind of floating across the screen. And when it reaches a 90-degree like angle from you, it essentially launches at you at high speed. But anyway, it's platforms. You're jumping from place to place. You're trying to collect different pieces. It has platform areas that disappear after you go over them. One of the most charming things ever is when you die because you rotate in like we're talking like 3 frames per second. Don't think this is like nice rotation, but you bounce off of like any like platform you get near, you're spinning and bouncing until you reach the bottom of the screen. Yeah. No, it's I mean it basically is like what would it be? It's like the original Mario Brothers, but instead of like hitting things from the bottom, you have to jump over them, and there's some angled platforms and stuff, and you're just collecting pieces. But it's I love the game. I think there was multiple Jumpman games. Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's the first platforming game, but it's got to be one of the earliest ones, right? And it's
Yeah.
definitely influences a lot of ones later on down the line. It is funny though. I appreciate it, but it's hard. You die a lot. I think I made it to stage 2 today. But you wing a girder by the wrong pixel and you go tumbling, and it was driving me freaking nuts when I was playing earlier today. But it's neat because like you said, I didn't realize as you're picking up the coins, or I assume they're coins, that parts of the stage disappear to make it more difficult to finish the stage. That's really innovative for a game this early. I thought that was awesome. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of Lode Runner, right? Where you're trying to collect all the items to exit the stage. Lode Runner definitely is a more smoother gameplay experience.
Yeah.
But Jumpman is awesome for an early game. I want to show that number stage 2 though, because stage 2 has those robots, which I thought were roller skates, which I thought was funny.
Well, and what's interesting about those is they don't, well, in that stage, they don't move until you pick up an item. And then they have a certain amount of movement where they will try to chase you. But it's also interesting because if you watch the movement, sometimes they'll take a ladder, even though that's not the direct path to you. I really want to know what the like algorithm was to decide the pathing, right? And so yeah.
But yeah,
But,
what
yeah.
an awesome game. Jumpman's a really fun one to go back and play. I don't know if it's on anything else. I think that's like an Apple classic, I think.
think it might be. It might have been on Commodore 64. Because that's the same era, right? So Commodore 64, Apple II, Atari 8-bit, PC Booster. There's apparently a Wii port
Of Jumpman.
and a Windows
Wow.
port in 2020. Yeah.
Gosh.
So
Oh, the Jumpman
yeah.
Jr. on the ColecoVision. That's interesting.
Yep. No, I love this game too. And made by Epix, which was huge back in the day.
Epic. That's right.
EPYX.
Right.
Yeah.
Sintress just said Jumpman Jr. on the C64. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, go play some old
Alrighty.
school hard games.
Yeah. Single screen does not necessarily mean it's old. They're still making them. We just don't notice it.
Right.
Or play
They're a
Blatro.
little less obvious about it these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a fun episode. I loved your reaction to Robotron, by the way. That
Oh.
was great.
It hit all the nostalgia points. Like just the rotating rainbow colors. I'm like, "Ugh."
All right.
So-
Well, thank you guys for listening. Do either of you have anything coming up you want to talk about? I know Sinistar, you do your Spinistar.
Yeah, I do my DJ stuff on my DJ Spinistar. One word DJ Spinistar. I do Mondays, and then on Saturdays I join Soul Archaic, and we do derping. Because we're idiots together. So yeah.
Yeah, I got two
Jake?
things. Yeah, so there's a YouTuber here. He's also on Twitch. His name is Fortifier. He's been killing it on YouTube the last year or so. He's actually been doing really well. He has a long form video series called the Ready Go Gaming Show, and he just released an episode on the history of Ubisoft, and I do some voice in that one. So if you want to hear me talk about some stuff about Ubisoft and its history, it's over on YouTube. Fortifier, Fortefyre. As well, I just did an episode with Bill and Thrack from the podcast The 3DO Experience. We talked about Mortal Kombat 2 for the 3DO. It's actually a homebrew port of Mortal Kombat 2 made from scratch for the 3DO. It's really interesting stuff.
Wow.
It's still in beta, but for beta, it's actually one of the best versions of Mortal Kombat 2 that you can play on a home console. 3DO, no less.
Wow.
So that's pretty awesome. And I'm going to shout out Remember 64. I'll be doing an episode with Dave and Jiggy Lookback soon to talk about Paperboy. So I'll make sure I shout that out as well. So
Nice.
definitely a bunch of stuff going on.
All right.
Yeah.
And also,
I was going to say, since he talked Paperboy, maybe a follow-up episode to this is isometric, like angled scrollers.
Favorite
Ugh.
isometric game? Can we bring in some Mario RPG? Maybe bring in
No.
some Landstalker. There's some great gems there.
Sorry,
oh
Wolf.
man, that's all right. All right. So I don't have anything that I haven't already mentioned in past episodes. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Don't forget to check us out at pressbtocancel.com or pressb.org. Wink, wink. And check out our Discord. Come join the conversation. Let us know if we missed anything. I'm sure we did. If there's something that maybe we were unaware of completely or have just forgotten, which is more likely the case. But either way, come share it. Tell us what you want to bring up from this topic. And also, please go check out. Oh my goodness, SuperPodNetwork.com.
Yeah, we got it.
We got it. I have examples you can check out if you want me to run off a few. Bar Silence is a podcast, part of the network, and he just did an episode on Streets of Rage, the music of Streets of Rage. I like listening to his podcast stuff. Then,
nice.
Of course, Remember 64.
I got to listen to that episode.
Yeah, Remember 64, who we had Dave on our show a few weeks back. They just did an episode on The World Might Be Just Enough. Wait, no, that's not new. No, he just did NFL Blitz for the N64, which is NFL Blitz is a really good one too. So those are two I listen to regularly. There's a lot there. SuperPod Saga, of course, is there with Aaron. Although I think he's in a break right now. And then you have a Novel Console, who started up a few weeks back. They've been doing a lot of great stuff. They're doing this Metal Gear Solid series. So he's got a series of episodes based on the Metal Gear Solid games, which is a franchise I think I should go back and play. I'll have to add it to the backlog because there's a few there that I've not even touched.
Too.
Yeah.
I bought the PS3 collection specifically to do that and have not fired it up yet. Had it for over a year now.
Because Chart has, for Fantasy Critic, he picked Metal Gear 3 Delta? Yeah, and that's supposed to come out this year. So I would be interested in it, but I feel like I don't want to play it unless I've played the rest of the games in the series, right? I only ever played Solid. I didn't play anything else.
Nice.
Yeah, I've played a bit of 2 and I watched most of 2. And I played through like half of the original 3. And then I've barely played anything else from it. My brother's got like all of them. He played through Peace Walker on PSP, and I think he even had the Metal Gear Acid games.
That's the card game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
like
it's such a weird.
He was all in on Metal Gear.
Yeah. Well, like, was it Delta has apparently the monkey mode was in the original. Apparently that's coming back.
Yes. So it was like this weird Metal Gear Ape Escape mashup. I loved playing that mode. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had the, Snake running around with those ridiculously cartoony looking apes from Ape Escape.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Especially like Metal Gear Solid 3 had such fidelity for the Metal Gear franchise at the time. And then you got those goobers running around looking way out of place.
Yeah.
I love
we should do an episode on Metal Gear for sure at some point, because like that's a series that it's so serious, but it still has a lot of weird, wacky shit in it, right? Like,
yeah,
I think it was
it's
even
like
5 where you attach balloons to enemies to like take them hostage. They go fly into the air with the balloons, and you can recruit them in your base. It's such a stupid concept.
That's great,
but it takes it so seriously. Yeah.
Nice.
I gotta play through those. All right. Well, thanks again for listening. This has been a very fun episode, and we will catch you next week. Have a good one.